everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Cafecito. I'm your host, Christiana. So excited to have you join us once again. You all know the tagline by now, but if not, the Cafecito is about everyday people doing extraordinary things. And you all know that is you, myself, and everyone else that we are connected to. We're all doing extraordinary things in our own way to help uplift the community that we're currently residing in. If you're not doing that, I hope you're on your way to doing it. What I really appreciate about the work that we're doing here at the Cafecito is that we keep connecting with these amazing guests, and we have one today. But before I introduce her, I want to thank We the Plug is our sponsor. We the Plug is an online organization. Well, we're online and in person, but until we fully open in person, we're online right now. But definitely check us out. We the Plug, that's THA, not THE.com. And we work with founders in their early stage to move them from ideation all the way to first seed round funding, if that's what their interest is. More importantly, it's a global community to connect you with other like-minded individuals in the startup space. Again, to learn more, check us out, We the Plug, THA, not THE.com. All right, Cindy.
Hello.
Hello, Cindy. How are you?
I am well, Christiana. Thank you for having me. I am well and grateful to be well.
Yes, we are grateful to be well. We are well and we're grateful for it. Because, right, I mean, listen, isn't it a gift? Like, we never realize how important something is or valuable, oftentimes, not exclusively, but often until something happens that shakes that up. And obviously, that has happened to us over the last year. And now we're moving into the next phase of that, right?
Yes, absolutely. And that's the most important thing and the biggest takeaway we can have as human beings going through these historical times. Um, Health, number one. What we had it, it impacted us on a global level, it impacted us on a personal level.
Yes.
What does it mean to have health is a huge question for us right now. And during this pandemic that we're going through, and during these technological
Yeah.
advances, what does it mean to us? Wellness, it's a huge part of my life. But yeah, I'm really grateful to be here. It's a huge privilege to be on this platform and to be speaking about wellness and to have that health in my life.
Yes. 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 Oh, I'm so excited for today's chat. So, why don't we just jump right into it? Please share with the people who you are and what you do.
Yes, thank you. I'm Cindy Rangel, and I am the CEO and founder of Ella Pocketbook, which is a sustainable travel handbag for today's global woman. And currently, we're on pre-launch phase. I am currently working with a pattern maker within the United States, and I'm designing this one product so women can travel freely. Now that we've always been a global country, and I've always been part of that fabric and that narrative as a global citizen. So I'm just really excited to be in this process and to have this platform with you, and to be a woman of color.
Yes.
It's an amazing privilege, and I am so grateful I can be the listener and be the speaker on subjects like health and sustainability. And that is just this is my mission. This feels really good to me. And I'm a teacher by day as well. So I'm in the classroom. That's like my skill set in the daytime. But my DNA and how I function and move in the world is really entrepreneurial. It's really the set skill that's been ingrained in my life and pushed forward in certain stories that I've had throughout my life as a traveler too. So I'm
Mhm.
just really excited to be in this position. And yes, that's a little bit about me.
You know, thank you so much for sharing about both the 9 to 5 work as well as the business work because it's so important. And those of you all who are watching, we talk about this often is that as we are building our purpose work, it often comes in different formats. And so it's not just linear. And so part of your purpose work is educating, is teaching, but that doesn't come in just one modality, right? One mode. It comes in the form of in the school system, right? With students, as well as with your business, you're teaching as well. So I really appreciate you giving what is the right word for that? Acknowledging that, because oftentimes we'll just focus on the fun stuff, right? And not that the other is not fun, but you know what I mean, the business part of it. And it's like, yeah, but what other um, work that you're doing is part of your purpose work that's really fueling who you are and what you do. So I appreciate you sharing that. I'm curious to know, the work you're doing in the school system. Did you always want to be a teacher, or was this something that kind of came along the way for you?
That's a really great question. It's actually been such a process for me because I think from early on, I've always been like a free spirit. Okay. So instead of having a quinceañera, which is like an introduction to a womanhood
Mhm.
in the Latino culture,
Right, right.
I saved my money with my first YMCA job. And I went and I took my money and I bought a ticket to Ecuador, which is where my parents are from.
Okay, okay.
So I'm a first generation Latina, and my both my parents are from Ecuador, and my mom came to Chicago as a 17-year-old. So they introduced me to travel at a very early age. Like I went a couple of summers throughout my childhood to Quito, and I would visit my extended family there.
Sure.
But I, as an early young woman, decided that I was going to see the world, and that was kind of my north star. And I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
being in the world and moving in the world,
Yes, yes.
and that was kind of how I felt free. But as a daughter of immigrants, my aunt was a teacher, my father was a teacher. There was the security of, let's say, secure the bag of that profession. And I appreciate that because my parents worked really hard to get where they needed to get. And I don't take that for granted because
Yeah.
there are so many lessons in that story of my mom coming when she was 17 with a bookkeeping certificate. It wasn't even a graduate certificate, it was more of a trade school
Sure,
certificate.
sure.
So I appreciate that narrative of let's get a secure job,
Yeah,
let's secure the bag, and make
yeah,
sure that you have a pension, you have um, this way of living, this income. And
yeah.
so I followed that, and that was the model that was given to me. My aunt was
Mm,
a Chicago public school teacher. She retired and she did very well, and that was my godmother. So I really just followed in her footsteps. And um and although things were calling me, like economics was calling me,
mm,
uh, pre-law, I did a little bit of law in the summer at U of I. Um, I knew that going to school was extremely important. And that's what they instilled in me. And so school just kind of felt comfortable,
yeah,
important, but there was also little pulls of business calling me. And so I had to listen to that over the years. And I'm really respectful of the whole process
yes.
because there's things in life that just kind of pull you towards that, and And I'm a big believer in following your intuition.
Yes. Yeah.
So, little things like that, go to school, get your degree,
Hmm.
get the job, secure the bag, et cetera, et cetera. And I understood that from the immigrant experience.
Yeah. No, and you're right. I think that there is definitely, I know of my friends and even some of my family members who have married into the family that are first generation immigrants to this country have shared that it's so important to secure your financial well-being and then pursue the dream. It's what parents require of you. And when you step out of that kind of agreement, there you will feel the backlash, which is understandable because it's like, look at what I've gone through in order to get us to this place, to get you, my children, to this place.
Mhm.
I need you to take us to the next level.
Yeah.
So I totally get that mindset of let's get a job that's going to keep income coming in and then if there's something else that you're seeking to fulfill you, then do that on the side, which I think is a necessary formula. I know for us in the startup space it is.
Yeah.
I mean, because when you're building your business, obviously it takes time to build customers and get revenue coming in. And so you definitely need something coming through unless, you have that funding put aside or you're blessed enough to have security from, friends and family
Hmm.
as well. So, gosh, a family of teachers. So it's in the DNA to be a teacher. I get that. I also suspect that it's in the DNA to launch out on your own with your business as well. So,
It
because
is.
I think also that is something that's very, even though it may be something new to the modern society to be labeled as startup and entrepreneur and all these new terminologies. This is something that has been done, especially in the immigrant community for years, starting your own businesses and growing them and really trying to be innovative to keep them going. What are your thoughts about that?
Absolutely. I think it's the spirit of the immigrant experience to start something. My mother was a huge influence on what I believe I should be. And so my mother is a bookkeeper. She was the person in charge of the finances, and finances is a huge important relationship we can have as individuals on a personal level, and even as a business person.
Yes.
Finances is key. It's number one for me. And so as we move in during these historical times too, what does finances really look like for that immigrant? And so my uncle, who lived in Ecuador, was actually he had a tourist business, a touring business. So people would come to Quito from all around the world to get to know Quito, and he had a family business with his wife and his children, and he would tour Europeans and whoever wanted to come and get to know Quito and the outskirts, the Amazon, anywhere you wanted to go, which Ecuador is beautiful and it's known for the Galapagos Islands. He had a tourism. So it is in my DNA to kind of be this traveler. It's kind of funny. And I would go to Quito and I would see him doing his business and he was very good at it.
Yeah.
And even though my mom came from very humble beginnings and they were very savvy and hardworking, they instilled that money was something that you saved.
Mhm.
Money was something that you saved, period. And that's all I got. And which is good, which is
Yeah, it's a good start.
it's a good start. It's a good
Yeah.
start. However, there wasn't anything further. Okay, so even though I had the imprint of okay, my all of my my aunts and uncles were professionals, like most of them, and My uncle was a huge entrepreneur, and even my mom helped my grandmother start a little like supply store in her home in downtown Quito. And at the age of 70 years old, my mom helped her mother do this little business. So my mom is very entrepreneurial. My mom is very the big traveler. She took me to Machu Picchu when I was 9 years old.
Oh my God. Wait, did you climb the whole?
We, my three sisters and I, and my father went to Cusco, and we took the train up to these Incan Empire. And at 9 years old, I experienced what most people experience as adults. And that was a huge privilege and a huge
Yes.
impression on me as a woman of color,
Yeah.
as a child. And I knew at that moment this was pivotal, this was
Yes.
critical. Um,
Yes.
and when I saw downtown Cusco is a bustle of commerce
Hmm.
with the indigenous population, especially the women that
Yes.
weave the sweaters. And my parents bought the sweaters, and I have pictures of me with the sweaters. Um, I knew at that moment that was something that was going to impress me for the rest of my life. So these women selling these textiles that they made,
Hmm.
and just like us, me as this first generation in a foreign land, but that was also my ancestors, it was just
Right. Right.
an amazing experience that I will never forget. And I think it has a huge impression on you in
It
your trajectory.
does. It does. You know what? You pulled out so many important um, issues there that we're currently facing that I think bears so much um, engagement. But you talked about finances. You talked about travel, taking ourselves outside of our just bubble. And then the other thing you talked about is how would I say it? It's almost like embracing our indigenous heritage, because what happens to us when we are so modernized and we're pulled away from that, it's so far removed from us that it's like another lifetime. It's not even something that we acknowledge, and oftentimes we can be dismissive of it. We can not find the true value in it, which causes us to then turn towards the more progressive, microwavable type of processes that can hurt these communities tremendously. And from how you're sharing your journey, I hear you saying that you were influenced by it in such a way that it caused you, with your travel business, to go back to those roots with the, I think, stamina of, I'm going to manifest this. I'm going to, no matter what it takes, I'm going to create this because I want to honor. I mean, I hear as you're talking, I'm like, you're honoring your mother, you're honoring your aunts and uncles, you're honoring your the indigenous part of your culture with your current business. And it sounds like it's intentional because of how you've been raised, to up to this your adult life.
Yes, absolutely. So I think that it's so important nowadays to remember the process and to
Mm,
respect the process, because we live in a such a like a rush now,
yeah.
early success, um do everything now, when in reality all of these moments have a time and place,
Mhm.
and it will bring you to where you need to be. And I'm a big believer in that, because my parents were not well off. My mom was poor when she decided to leave her home country
Mhm.
and live in a foreign land. and not know how to speak the language. And again, have a certain level of income and then education. And as a woman of color, that is hard.
Yeah.
And that is hard to go and the immigrant is something that as first generations we never forget. We always look back and like you said, it's like the whole trajectory comes to this moment, and I have to be respectful of it. I
Mm,
have to be I have to listen to my intuition,
mhm.
which is important, but also know that I'm on a journey of knowing where I come from,
Yes, yes.
where my roots are, and how I'm going to further that narrative, how
Mhm,
I'm going to expand that narrative into something that's bountiful, that makes sense for the planet. Because my mission is to launch and to create a product that's good for the planet, good for people, and that makes sense at the end of the day, and that's successful in the market. So it's just, to me, that's how I've been influenced and raised, and so all of these things, all of these pieces come together in a timely manner. And so I've looked back at my experience and I've said, oh, I should have done, or
mhm, mhm.
this time could have been this way.
Sure.
But then I'm like, well, wait, no, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm not in a rush, and I'm going to respect that.
Yes, yes. That's part of the whole, trusting the process as well, to recognize that there are times when you must go slower than you'd like to because it's necessary in order to be patient with whatever it is that is causing the kind of momentum to slow down that needs to happen in order to get the outcome you're looking for. And it's something that my sister and I was talking about. She had recently gone to visit um, a friend of hers in Hawaii. I forget the island that she was on, but she was saying how the community there is so much more laid back and they don't rush to do anything because that's not the value for them. The value is about being present, the outcome of the product or engagement with the person. And she was saying the lessons that she learned from that. And again, I think what you're speaking to is honoring part of our heritage in that our ancestors uh, saw value in taking time to put whatever the product was together than to go to market as opposed to this kind of modern rush approach to get something out where then there's really little heart and soul put into it. It's more of just this commerce where it's to market, it's about the money, it's about fast growth. So I really appreciate where you're coming from with that. So as we're talking about the business, the travel business, which was really exciting for me. And when I connected with you on Instagram, I was pleased because I cannot wait to get back into it. And I was looking at some of the work that you're doing in that space. And I said, oh, yeah, when it's time for me to travel again, I definitely will be utilizing her products. But talk about, and do you have a sample that you can show us or um,
No, I am currently working with a pattern maker, but
oh,
I did,
so close, so
yeah,
close.
so close. And she is going to send me the actual prototype soon.
Mhm,
So we will be getting feedback from some of
sure,
our clients that have
sure.
given us feedback, which I've been highlighting in my Women of Color in Travel series on Instagram.
Yes, talk about that because that's the other thing. You didn't talk about that you're actually hosting, it's a web series, right?
Yes,
Where yeah,
it's an interview series on Instagram, and it's turning into a life of its own. I love that these women, first of all, I'm speaking to women of color. That's one of my markets. And I interview them because I want to get some feedback, but I'm also interested in their story. in their travel stories. So I highlight them because one, they have a story that's untold and that is not visible or
Mhm.
heard. And I think
Yes.
it's important for women to be heard, women of color to
Yeah.
be heard. Our narrative is not in the mainstream media, and
Right.
I'm really a believer in if you don't see it, you have to be it.
Yep.
So I started this series to tell these stories, and I am like floored with all the stories these women of color are coming with, and I am on a mission. This is my mission. I am going to interview 1 billion
1 billion. My ode to Austin Powers.
1 billion women of color in travel. That is my mission. Like right now, I don't know what it's going to turn into. I don't care.
Because the goal is to go after these women and to help them be seen. And that's where it starts. We must help each other be seen, because when we do that, we're honoring one another. And that's what I appreciate about your series, is that you're
Mhm.
honoring the journey. You're right, there's stories to be told, and sometimes we only see the surface stuff with the pictures and, oh, you should go check this out. But I love the story. Well, what did you experience when you went there and did that? Did you have a spiritual experience? Did you have a some type of just awakening? Like, what happened? Like,
Yeah,
I love the story part of it.
I love the story too. I'm a storyteller. I'm a
Yeah.
teacher. That's the
Yeah.
best part of being a teacher is that you get to tell stories all day
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and listen to the stories. And that is one of the components that I'm doing because my business is based on wellness. It's based on beauty and self-love. And
Yes.
one of the a third pillar is a fashion tech component, which I'm still in development stages. But I know that today's global woman needs those three pillars. They need help organizing their bag. They need that. And so my way of giving back to women who have helped me in my process is
Mhm.
to honor their story. Their
Yes.
story is relevant, it's part of the American experience. And so it's just a privilege to be a listener, and I'm having so much fun doing it.
I love it. So with the actual bag, once you get it, kind of walk us through like what it looks, what it will do and look like.
Okay, so it's basically a handbag, but it's going to be a crossbody handbag
Mhm.
that will fit your laptop, but also your beauty products or the wellness component. So there's three pillars: the wellness and health,
Mhm.
the beauty, and the self-love, which is your things that you're going to use for makeup, etc., things that
Maybe some lotion or a little bit of perfume scent or something.
what you
Uh,
need on your travels. So,
yeah.
and then you have your compartment of your fashion compartment, which is the laptop, everything that you need to store that part. So it is somewhat of a mid-size to bigger size crossbody bag,
Mhm.
and it will have those three pillars because today's global woman is on the move.
Mhm.
Is on the move constantly, is a mobile woman, is highly educated woman, and is a woman that has those three needs that are important to her. So those compartments are part of the organizational part of the bag. And so that's what I'm working with my pattern maker. We're going to get some feedback on the first prototype, and then I'm looking at other sources of fabric that I'm walking into because originally the investigation was in Mexico, but then COVID hit, and then I
Yes.
just went back domestically, and that's okay.
Sure.
Um, so that's where I'm at, and yeah, we're in constant communication with the this handbag pattern maker that has connections with manufacturers, because in my experience, I want this bag to have a clear supply chain throughout the entire manufacturing process. So
Gotcha.
that is my goal, and to work with women of color, work with women throughout the supply
Yes.
chain,
Yes. Yes.
because
Yeah, because they
80%,
exist
yeah, 80% of the garment workers are women of color around the globe.
around the globe.
Mhm.
Wow.
They are the ones that are sewing. They are the ones that are the least paid. And so that's my homage. That's
Yeah.
my nod to women of color, because we're doing different things around the globe. And within
Yes.
the United States, it's these are historical times, and I
Mhm.
can feel that. And so I want to honor that. I want to honor that today's global woman.
Yes, yes. I love that. And then the sustainability part, I mean, you're really, again, looking um, to innovate how these products are being made, which is so important and definitely not just important um, to our current living situation, but again, you're thinking in the future as well. So how are you ensuring that you're educating as you're going along? Because I think one of the things that we as a community, and I'm speaking specifically about Pan-African and Latinx communities here in the US, more specifically, we get caught up in communities that are, we experience environmental racism. Our communities are the one that are filled with the toxic fumes from these corporate buildings and the suppliers and all this stuff. And so it's really challenging for us to fully understand why it's so important that we educate ourselves on it, because we have so many other things that we're trying to get through in our day-to-day life, but really recognizing why it's important for us to understand environmental awareness. And you're doing that with your products. Is are you sharing any of this outside of the space you're in? Because as an educator, you have access to all these students as well. And I'm assuming a lot of them are students of color. So how are you taking this kind of mission of educating on the environment outside of just the work that you're doing into other spaces you're connected to?
Well, absolutely. It all comes down to the health and wellness of one right now, of the person that you're speaking to, because at the end of the day, um, how you feel and how you move in this world is indicative of what you're going to put out there. So,
Yes.
if I'm going to be teaching science, which is a huge passion of mine, what is the science curriculum going to be looking like today? For today's students,
Yes.
what's important now, in terms of like the earth, as we're in April, Earth Awareness Month, Earth Day month.
Earth
And
Day is, yes, we're in April. Oh my gosh, it's April 1st.
yes, yes. And so just um, having a love for STEM,
Yes.
STEM, math, science is critical for me as a bilingual teacher, because most of my students are bilingual, and most
Wow.
of them live in areas. I work in East County, where they're food deserts and they're on free and reduced lunch programs. So these particular students and this student population needs all of the STEM, science and math, and things that are very focused on what's going on now with the earth, what's going on, how are we going to be as people. Social emotional curriculum is a huge part of this too.
Yes, yes.
How is it that embedded in the science? Because I'm a very big science person. Science is like one of my favorite subjects to teach. So it's embedded in everything that I say and do. So I mean, what does it mean to be a student right now and learning about science and learning about pollution? How does that impact your local community? How are we going to take actionable steps as youth? You
Yes,
know,
yes,
um,
yes.
so just
Yeah, I
reiterating that.
yeah, I think it's just important. I did a cafecito with another gentleman His name is Abe, and he's from originally from TJ, but moved to San Diego. And now he's in Michigan, and he is studying environmental strategies. And one of the things he was talking about is being a Latino male and the importance, to
Mhm.
your point, of educating the community and looking at how to, do those in steps or layers that will, get buy-in from the community as valuable, because again, it's not always something that you see. And you mentioned the food deserts, it's kind of like it's just the way it is, and we kind of accept it, and it's like, well, wait a minute, let's challenge this. And this is the reason why we should challenge this, because it is bringing harm to not only our families but our future generation as well. And this is why it's so important. um, Tell the people a little bit about your call to action for whether it's them learning more about the company, or just, if there's something that that you are wanting them to do more of, what is it that you would say is your call to action?
I think my call of action is to first step into the phase of awareness.
Mm,
So, I am currently on this health challenge on my Instagram. I want everybody to be on a health challenge because food and nutrition and well-being is an integral part of my of how I live, me as a person. My mom taught me that no matter what, that is the number one thing that's going to keep you literally alive. You
yes,
know, your well-being, it's my north star. The well-being in every sense of the way. So I launched this well-being campaign, and I invite everyone to go to my Instagram, check it out. I'm going to be sharing stories about well-being and health. For 5 to 10 days, people can share their story or sign up for my email newsletter and share actionable steps that they're doing, and how their wellness routine is changing during these historical times. Because let's face it, we're in a pandemic. We lived through 1 year of a pandemic.
yeah,
Not everyone did.
yeah,
Okay, unfortunately. And our communities were hit the hardest.
were, yes, they
And
were.
so, to me, my call of action for my community and for the people at large is,
Yeah,
what are you going to do for your health and wellness in the next couple of days, in the next year? What does that look like to you? What has worked? So, just kind of an awareness. I asked them to join me in this campaign, because I'm passionate about food. I'm
yes,
passionate about moving and being healthy. I teach that to my kids. Nutrition and the nutrition unit that I teach to my kids is an awesome unit that I love teaching because it nourishes us. It gives us energy if we eat well, if we are well, if we're taking care of us in every sense of the word of wellness. So I invite anyone that's listening to come on my Instagram at Ella Pocketbook, and join us in the month of April for Earth Month as well. Like this is all coming to a nice little synchronous moment
yes,
of wellness for the earth, for ourselves, you
yes,
know? And join me in this campaign as we take a look at ourselves, um, and our wellness journey, because it's so important right now. And I'm really grateful that you invited me on this because this is such an important message.
it really is. It really is. And I thank you for, again, the advocacy work that you're doing in this space and the time that you've taken to speak with us today. I know that you have a lot on your plate, and I appreciate you sharing with us just a little bit about the importance of prioritizing self, because we have to fight for that, because we've gone too long in the other space of neglect and just going. And, you know, if an opportunity shows up, then it shows up for us to take time for ourselves. But if not, oh well, we have to keep going. And I think our community needs to value that, prioritize that. We need to normalize it as important, and celebrate it with each other, encourage each other to do it. And I know it's my call to action to do more of that for myself and with others in our community, and especially with women as well. Definitely with women, because my goodness, we prioritize everyone else but ourselves.
Yes.
Can you share with us how to find you? Your Instagram, your what
Yes.
other platforms you're on?
Yes, my website, you could sign up for the e-newsletter there too. At ellapocketbook.com. I'm mostly on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. We have Facebook as well. It's ellapocketbook.com. And then I am just inviting you right now to join us in that wellness campaign again. If you click on the link in the bio, you can sign up for the e-newsletter. And we are going to be starting Women of Color, this Women of Color in Travel. It's going to turn into a community, and it's going to have its own
Yeah.
logo. And so I invite women of color to join me and share their story in travel and beyond, because this is much bigger than me. And I know that my story is important, but I think that women of color, their story is so compelling and it's so moving and motivating. So I'm really grateful that I'm in this position to be the storyteller and to be that listener. So thank you, Christiana.
Muchas gracias. Well, you all, I hope that you have been inspired today to do something for yourself, or take out time to help support someone else. Take time for themselves if you're already doing it, and encourage someone else to do it as well. Thank you again for taking time to connect with us. Again, you all know how to find her. We'll put all the links below so that you can connect. And again, I really hope everyone takes time to prioritize self-health, self-wellness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great rest of your day. Bye-bye.